The wrestling world just witnessed something nobody saw coming, and it's sending shockwaves through every corner of the WWE universe. USO has finally done what many thought was impossible. He's turned his back on the Bloodline in the most brutal and unforgiving way imaginable. This isn't just another storyline twist. This is the complete destruction of the most dominant faction WWE has seen in years, and the fallout from Monday Night Raw is absolutely insane. If you want to stay updated on all the latest WWE drama and never miss a moment of the action, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. Everything went down on Monday Night Raw in a segment that started like any other Bloodline confrontation but ended with the entire WWE landscape being turned upside down. The show opened with Roman Reigns standing in the center of the ring with Solo Sikoa by his side. The tension was already thick in the arena because everyone knew USO had been questioning his loyalty for weeks. The cracks in the Bloodline had been showing ever since WrestleMania, and the relationship between JEY and Roman had deteriorated to a point where every interaction felt like it could explode at any second. Roman called JEY out to the ring and the crowd was already on edge waiting to see what would happen next. JEY's music hit and he walked down to the ring with a look on his face that told the entire story. This wasn't the same USO who had stood beside Roman Reigns through thick and thin. This wasn't the main event JEY who had sacrificed everything for his family. This was a man who had been pushed to his absolute limit and was about to make a decision that would change everything. He stepped into the ring and stood face to face with Roman Reigns. The two men who had been family, who had dominated WWE together, were now staring each other down like enemies about to go to war. Roman started talking about family and loyalty like he always does. He reminded JEY of everything they had accomplished together. He talked about how the Bloodline had ruled WWE for over 3 years. He mentioned every title they had won, every opponent they had destroyed, and every moment they had created together. But there was something different in Roman's voice this time. It wasn't the usual confident tribal chief speaking. There was a hint of desperation because Roman knew that JEY was slipping away and there was nothing he could do to stop it. Roman tried to use guilt and manipulation like he had done so many times before, but this time it wasn't working. JEY stood there listening to every word, but his expression never changed. When Roman finally stopped talking, JEY grabbed a microphone and the entire arena went silent. What JEY said next will go down as one of the most powerful promos in recent WWE history. He talked about how he had given everything to the Bloodline. He mentioned how he had put his own career, his own dreams, and his own family on hold just to serve Roman Reigns. He spoke about the nights he went home questioning whether he was doing the right thing. He talked about watching his brother Jimmy leave the Bloodline and how much that hurt him. He talked about the mental torture of being stuck between family loyalty and personal freedom. The emotion in JEY's voice was real and raw. This wasn't scripted WWE drama. This felt like genuine pain pouring out from someone who had been holding it in for too long. JEY told Roman that he was done being manipulated. He was done being treated like a soldier instead of family. He was done sacrificing his happiness for someone who only cared about maintaining power. The crowd was eating up every single word, and you could feel the energy in the arena shifting with every sentence JEY spoke. This was a man reclaiming his identity and his freedom, and everyone watching knew they were witnessing something special. Roman tried to respond, but JEY cut him off. That moment right there was significant because JEY had never disrespected Roman like that before. In the Bloodline hierarchy, you don't interrupt the tribal chief. You don't talk back to Roman Reigns. But JEY wasn't part of that hierarchy anymore. He had already mentally checked out of the Bloodline and now he was making it physical. Solo Sikoa stepped forward trying to intimidate JEY, but JEY didn't back down. He stood his ground and stared Solo down, making it clear that he wasn't afraid anymore. Then came the moment that everyone will be talking about for months. Roman extended his hand to JEY one last time. It was a final offer to stay in the Bloodline and remain part of the family. The camera zoomed in on Roman's hand and then on JEY's face. The entire arena was holding its breath waiting to see what JEY would do. For a brief second, it looked like JEY might actually shake Roman's hand and stay loyal. But then JEY looked at Roman's hand, looked back up at Roman's face, and slapped that hand away with force. The crowd exploded with one of the loudest reactions you'll ever hear in a WWE arena. What happened next was pure chaos. Solo Sikoa immediately attacked JEY and the two started brawling all over the ring. Roman stood back watching as his enforcer tried to punish JEY for his disrespect. But JEY was fighting with a fire that nobody had seen from him in years. He was throwing punches with bad intentions, and it was clear that all the pent-up frustration and anger was coming out in this fight. Solo and JEY fought out of the ring and into the crowd. Security tried to separate them, but they kept going at each other like two men who genuinely wanted to hurt each other. Back in the ring, Roman was seething with anger. His carefully constructed empire was crumbling right before his eyes. The Bloodline had lost Jimmy months ago. Now JEY was gone too. The faction that had seemed unstoppable was falling apart and Roman knew it. He grabbed a microphone and started yelling at JEY, telling him that he had just made the biggest mistake of his life. Roman promised that JEY would regret this decision and that the Bloodline would make him pay for his betrayal. The venom in Roman's voice was intense, and it was clear that this storyline was far from over. Backstage after the segment ended, the chaos continued. Multiple WWE sources have reported that there was a legitimate backstage confrontation between various members of the roster. Some wrestlers were showing support for JEY's decision while others were questioning whether this was the right move. The locker room is apparently divided on the situation, with veterans understanding JEY's position and younger talent worried about what this means for the future of WWE's most profitable storyline. There were reports of heated discussions between creative team members about where to take this angle next and how to maximize the storytelling potential of this massive split. Jimmy USO's reaction to all of this has been interesting to watch. He left the Bloodline months ago and has been trying to rebuild his singles career ever since. Now that his twin brother has also broken free from Roman's control, there are massive questions about whether the USOs will reunite or if they will continue on separate paths. Backstage sources say that Jimmy was emotional watching JEY finally stand up to Roman because Jimmy knows exactly what JEY has been going through. There are rumors that WWE is planning a massive storyline involving both USOs teaming up to take down the Bloodline, but nothing has been confirmed yet. The WWE Universe's reaction to JEY's betrayal has been overwhelmingly positive on social media. Twitter exploded with fans celebrating JEY's decision to leave the Bloodline. Wrestling fans have been invested in JEY's character development for years now, and seeing him finally break free felt like a cathartic moment for everyone who has been following the story. The hashtag about JEY USO trended worldwide within minutes of the segment ending. Fans were posting videos of their reactions, creating memes, and discussing what this means for the future of WWE programming. But not everyone is happy about this development. Some fans are worried that breaking up the Bloodline is a mistake because the faction has been the backbone of WWE storytelling for so long. They argue that Roman Reigns needs a strong faction around him to maintain his character's credibility. Others are concerned that WWE will mess up this storyline like they've messed up other promising angles in the past. There's skepticism about whether WWE creative can properly follow through on this narrative and give fans the payoff they deserve after years of investment in these characters. From a business perspective, this storyline shift is massive for WWE. The Bloodline has been the company's most consistent draw for years. Merchandise sales, ticket sales, and television ratings have all been boosted by the Bloodline's presence. Now that the faction is falling apart, WWE needs to figure out how to maintain that momentum while telling new stories. The creative team is under pressure to deliver compelling television that keeps fans engaged without relying on the same Bloodline formula that has worked for so long. The implications for upcoming pay-per-view events are significant. Survivor Series is coming up, and there were already plans for a massive Bloodline showcase at that event. Now those plans need to be completely reworked. There's speculation that WWE might book a traditional Survivor Series elimination match with JEY USO leading a team against Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. That would be a perfect way to capitalize on this storyline and give fans the match they've been waiting years to see. The potential for a War Games match involving all the former Bloodline members is also being discussed among fans and wrestling journalists. Inside WWE headquarters, executives are reportedly thrilled with how this angle is playing out. The company's stock has been performing well, and storylines like this help maintain investor confidence in WWE's ability to create compelling content. The merger with UFC under the TKO banner has increased pressure on WWE to deliver strong ratings, and this Bloodline storyline has been crucial to that success. Breaking up the faction is a risky move, but if executed properly it could lead to even bigger business down the line. Roman Reigns himself has been dealing with this storyline shift in character perfectly. His social media posts since the Raw segment have been cryptic and threatening. He's maintaining the tribal chief persona while also showing vulnerability for the first time in years. The character of Roman Reigns has always been about control and power. Now that he's losing control of his family, we're seeing a different side of the character. This adds depth to Roman's persona and gives him new directions to explore creatively. Some wrestling analysts believe this could lead to Roman's eventual face turn, although that seems unlikely given how effective he's been as a heel. Solo Sikoa's role in all of this is particularly interesting. He's being positioned as Roman's new enforcer and the muscle that will help destroy JEY USO. Solo has been impressive since joining the Bloodline, and this feud gives him an opportunity to prove himself as a main event level talent. The chemistry between Solo and JEY has been great so far, and their matches should be physical and hard-hitting. WWE is high on Solo's potential, and using him to feud with JEY is a smart way to elevate him while also giving JEY a credible opponent to work with. The women's division has even been affected by this Bloodline drama. Nia Jax has been aligned with the Bloodline in recent weeks, and her position in the faction is now unclear. Does she stay loyal to Roman, or does she distance herself from the chaos? There's also the question of whether other family members like Tamina or Jacob Fatu might get involved in this storyline. WWE has a deep roster of Samoan wrestlers they could potentially use to expand this narrative in unexpected directions. Behind the scenes, the wrestlers involved in this angle have been working incredibly hard to make everything feel authentic. USO in particular has been praised by fellow wrestlers and industry veterans for his commitment to the character and his ability to convey genuine emotion in his promos. The standing ovation he received backstage after the Raw segment reportedly brought him to tears. His peers recognize the work he's put in to make this storyline resonate with audiences, and their respect for his craft has only grown. Looking ahead, the possibilities for this storyline are endless. We could see USO challenge for major championships now that he's a singles competitor again. We could see the Usos reunite and go after the tag team titles. We could see a massive multi-man match at WrestleMania featuring everyone who has ever been part of the Bloodline. WWE has options, and that's exciting for fans who have been craving fresh matchups and new directions. The company just needs to be careful not to rush through this story too quickly, because the long-term storytelling has been one of the best aspects of the Bloodline saga. The wrestling media has been covering this story extensively, with podcasts, YouTube channels, and websites all offering their takes on what happened and what comes next. The consensus seems to be that this was the right time for JEY to break away from the Bloodline, and that WWE has set up some potentially incredible matches and moments for the future. Critics of WWE Creative are cautiously optimistic that the company won't squander this opportunity, but there's always concern given WWE's track record with following through on hot angles. What makes this whole situation even more compelling is the real-life family dynamic at play. These aren't just characters on television. These are actual family members working through complex emotions and relationships in front of millions of people. The Anoa'i family has given so much to professional wrestling over the decades, and this storyline adds another chapter to their legendary legacy. The respect and love these family members have for each other is real even when their characters are enemies on screen, and that authenticity comes through in their performances. The moment USO slapped away Roman Reigns' hand will be remembered as one of the defining moments of this era of WWE. It represents freedom, rebellion, and the courage to stand up against oppression even when it comes from family. The visual of JEY walking away from the Bloodline with his head held high while Roman stood in the ring fuming with anger is powerful imagery that encapsulates everything this story has been building towards. It's the payoff that fans invested years of their time to see, and it delivered in every possible way. This is far from over though. The war between USO and the Bloodline is just beginning, and the battles ahead promise to be brutal, emotional, and unforgettable. WWE has the pieces in place to tell an incredible story over the coming months, and if they execute it properly, this could go down as one of the greatest storylines in wrestling history. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any updates on this developing situation, because things are about to get even more intense.